Ah, there you are. Come in, come in. Watch your step on that transition from the outer tunnels. The stone can be a bit uneven where the old delvers first broke ground. You look absolutely weathered, if you don't mind me saying so. It's that heavy, buzzing sort of exhaustion, isn't it? The kind that follows you home like a persistent mountain mist. Well, you found the right door tonight. Shake off the dust of the world outside and leave those loud, clattering thoughts at the threshold. Deep within the roots of the mountain, time moves a little differently and much more forgiving. Go on, have a seat in that green velvet armchair right by the central hearth. I've draped a fresh wool plaid over the back of it just for you. Can you feel the warmth radiating from the circular stone fire pit? It's a proper Dwarven forge fire, though we've banked it down to a gentle, flickering glow for the evening. Listen to the way the flames dance against those heavy stone pillars. It's a rhythmic sort of song, isn't it? There is nothing urgent waiting for us here. No deadlines, no alarms, no frantic rushing. Just the mountain, the fire, and a bit of quiet work to keep our hands busy and our minds still. I've already put the copper kettle on the small wooden table beside your chair. It's just starting to huff a bit of steam. See it there, catching the orange light of the embers. I thought we might start with a mug of something dark and earthy before we get into our tasks. There's a stack of birch logs right at your feet if you feel a chill, but the air in here stays remarkably consistent, sheltered as we are by leagues of solid granite. Take a look around while I pour. This workshop has been in the family for generations, and it's a bit of a hoard, I'll admit. To your left, you'll see the brass work station, piles of old trumpets, gears, and coils of copper wire just waiting for a bit of attention. And over on the right, under those stone arches carved with ancient runes, is where I keep the pigments. Dozens of jars filled with ground minerals from the lower deeps, blues that look like the midnight sky, and purples as rich as a royal cloak. We aren't going to finish everything tonight, and that's quite all right. We are just going to focus on the small things. The feel of a soft cloth against tarnished metal. The sound of a mortar and pestle grinding stone into dust. It's a meditative sort of business, polishing and brewing. It gives the brain a place to rest without letting it wander off into the weeds of worry. Can you hear the gears clicking softly on the wall? They don't drive any great machine anymore. They just tick away the seconds, reminding us that there is plenty of time for everything. You don't need to do a thing, but exist right here in this moment. Rest your head back against the cushion. Breathe in the scent of the wood smoke and the faint metallic tang of the workshop. We're safe here, tucked away in our own little pocket of the world. Once you've had a few sips of your tea and the warmth has reached your toes, we'll start on the brass. But there's no hurry. No hurry at all. Let's lean in a bit closer to the workbench here. Do you see this collection I've laid out? It's a bit of a hodgepodge, isn't it? We have these heavy, tarnished gears that look like they've seen a century's worth of mountain dust, and a few stone bowls I've pulled from the deeper shelves. These bowls are sturdy, carved from the very bedrock of this mountain, and they're perfect for the heavy grinding we'll be doing later. I've always found that the best way to quiet a buzzing mind is to give the hands something repetitive to do. Tonight, that means tending to these brass instruments and gears. Brass is a funny metal. It holds on to the light, but it hides it under that dull, dark oxidation until you coax it back out. Just like us sometimes, wouldn't you say? Take a look at this large, circular gear resting on the stone table. It's thick and notched, likely part of an old water pump system from the lower levels. It's lost its luster, covered in a fine layer of soot and age. And beside it, I've set out these glass jars. See how the light from the lantern catches the deep violets and shimmering blues of the raw minerals inside. We'll be turning those into our inks shortly. But first, let's just appreciate the weight of things. Pick up that small brass cog near the magnifying glass. Feel the cool, solid weight of it in your palm. The way it feels substantial and real. It's grounding, isn't it? In a world that feels like it's made of nothing but flickering screens and invisible worries, there's something immensely comforting about holding a piece of the earth that has been shaped by a hammer and fire. I've prepared a bit of polishing paste, a simple mixture of fine sand, a dash of vinegar, and some secret mountain oils. It smells a bit sharp, like a crisp autumn morning, but it does wonders for the metal. We'll just apply a small dab to these linen cloths I've piled up. We're not looking for a mirror finish just yet. We're just beginning the process of uncovering what's underneath. I'll pass a cloth over to you. Just take it when you're ready. As we sit here, you might notice the way the light from the fireplace over there, see the black iron pot hanging over the logs, casts long, flickering shadows against the stone arches in the back. Those arches lead deeper into the mountain, to the silent places where the stone never changes. It's a reminder that while the world outside might be rushing and clamoring, here we are protected by miles of solid rock. I'll start on this larger astrolabe piece, and you can take that small spring or one of those loose gems scattered on the table if you like. There's no right or wrong way to do this, just a slow, circular motion, back and forth. Can you hear the faint, gritty sound of the cloth against the metal? It's a tiny sound, but in the stillness of this workshop, it's enough to fill the air. The grit of the sand is working its way into the crevices, slowly clearing away the years. We'll just work our way through this pile, one piece at a time. We have all night, and the mountain isn't going anywhere. Let the rhythm of the polishing take the lead for a while. If your thoughts try to drift back to that long day we talked about, just bring them back to the feel of the cloth and the scent of the oil. We're making something old new again, and in doing so, we're finding a bit of polish for ourselves too. Let's focus our attention on this orrery here in the center of the table. It's a magnificent piece of Dwarven engineering, isn't it? Those interlocking rings and flat brass discs are meant to track the movement of the stars, even though we're deep underground, where the only stars we see are the glinting crystals in the ceiling. Over time, the air in these caverns, rich with mineral dust and humidity, has left a thick, stubborn patina on the metal. It's turned a deep, matte bronze, but we know there's gold-spun light hiding just beneath that dullness. It just takes a bit of patience to find it again. Go ahead and take one of the smaller gears, while I start on the main outer ring. I've got my favorite heavy mallet and chisel resting nearby on the workbench. See them there on the left, tucked away on those folded linens. I won't need them for this though. This task requires a much softer touch. We aren't forging or shaping tonight. We are simply revealing. Just a bit of that paste we talked about, and a steady, circular motion. Can you hear that? The soft, rhythmic hush-hush of the cloth against the brass. It's a tiny sound, almost like a whisper, but in the vastness of this stone room, it's remarkably grounding. As I rub the cloth over the etched runes on the edge of the disc, the tarnish begins to give way. Slowly, a warm, buttery glow starts to peek through. It's like watching the sunrise over a foggy moor, isn't it? One moment it's all grey and indistinct, and the next, there's a spark of life. Feel the slight heat building under your fingers as you rub. That's the friction working its magic. I noticed earlier that you were looking at those jars of pigment, the golds and the deep purples waiting in their glass homes. We'll get to those soon enough, but there's a lesson in this polishing first. Sometimes we spend so much time looking for something brand new to fix our mood, when all we really need is to spend a little time tending to what we already have. This orrery didn't need to be replaced. It just needed to be seen. It needed someone to sit with it in the quiet and help it remember how to shine. Look at the way the candlelight from the single brass holder in the middle of our table catches the bits of raw turquoise and malachite in the mortar. Even before they're ground into ink, they have such a vibrant energy. But even they are secondary to the work of our hands right now. The way the yellow flame dances against the stone walls makes this whole corner feel so much smaller and safer. If your arm starts to feel heavy, just slow down. There is no quota to meet in this workshop. If we only polish 3 inches of this ring tonight, then that is 3 inches of the world that are brighter than they were when we started. That's enough. That's more than enough. We aren't in any rush to finish. I once knew an old smith in the lower crags who used to say that the metal remembers the hands that touch it. He believed that if you polished a thing with a peaceful heart, that piece would stay trapped in the luster of the brass for the next person to find. I like that thought. As we sit here, letting our worries melt into the stone floor, we're buffing a bit of our own calm into these gears. Just keep breathing with the rhythm. In as you move the cloth away. Out as you bring it back. The mountain is holding us steady, pressing in with a gentle, heavy silence. The fire is keeping us warm, crackling softly in the background. And bit by bit, the light is coming back to the brass. Now, let's shift our focus just a hair to the right. While the brass rests in its newfound glow, it's time to attend to the minerals. This part of the evening is always my favorite. It's where the raw bones of the mountain are transformed into something that can carry a story. I've brought the mortar and pestle right to the center of the workspace for us. It's a heavy thing, carved from dark river stone, and it has a wonderful, cool weight to it. Do you see these small piles of raw stone on the table? That deep, electric blue is lapis from the sunless veins. And beside it, these chunks of rock, flecked with bright, metallic gold, are what we'll use to give the ink its shimmer. There is something so satisfying about the transformation. One moment, it's a jagged piece of the earth, and the next, under the steady pressure of the pestle, it becomes a powder as fine as stardust. I'll take a few of these blue stones and drop them into the bowl. Clink, clink. Hear that? The sound of solid meeting solid. Now, I'm going to place the pestle on top and begin a slow, grinding circle. Crunch, scrape, hush. It's a gritty, primal sound, isn't it? It resonates right through the wooden tabletop and into your hands if you rest them near the edge. Go ahead, place your palms flat on the wood. Feel that vibration? It's the mountain speaking in its own slow language. We aren't rushing this. If we press too hard, the heat might dull the color. We want to be firm, but patient. As the stones break down, look at how the dust clings to the sides of the mortar. It's such an intense pigment. It almost seems to glow in the light of the single candle flickering nearby. I've got my brass calipers and measuring spoons ready. See them lying there on the worn parchment. Precision matters when you're brewing ink, but the grinding is all about the feel. I once heard a tale from the deep miners about a scribe who spent 40 years grinding a single jar of true black from the soot of a dragon's hearth. They say by the time he was finished, the ink was so dark it could capture shadows and hold them onto the page. We don't need anything quite that dramatic tonight, of course. We just need a blue that reminds us of the sky we haven't seen in a few hours. Can you smell that? As the stone breaks, it releases a faint metallic scent, a bit like rain hitting a dusty road. It's the smell of deep time. Behind us, the small cauldron on the tripod is bubbling away softly over its own little flame. It's filled with a binder made of pine resin and honey, waiting to embrace this dust and turn it into fluid. Look at the gold-flecked stones still waiting their turn. They look like little fallen stars, don't they? We'll add just a pinch of those at the very end. It's the secret to Dwarven ink. A bit of light trapped in the dark. Take the pestle for a moment if you like. Don't worry about doing it right. Just feel the resistance of the stone giving way. Lean into the rhythm of it, round and round. Crush and smooth. Everything that was heavy in your head today, just imagine it's being ground down into this fine, beautiful dust. It's being changed into something useful, something quiet, something that belongs here, with us, in the heart of the mountain. Now, let's stretch our legs a bit and move over to the far side of the hall. We've done some good work with the dry dust and the polish, but my hands are feeling a bit gritty, and I expect yours are too. There's a spot just past these main stone columns that I think you'll find particularly refreshing. It's only a few steps away, but the air already feels different. Careful as we walk. The floor transitions from the flat workshop stone to a more natural, mossy path. Do you hear that? It's the sound of the mountain's own pulse. Tucked right into the rock face here is a small, sacred spring that feeds into a glowing basin. It's not just for show. The water here is crystal clear and perfect for rinsing the fine residue of the polish and pigment from our tools and our fingers. It's a constant, gentle flow that never falters. Look at the carving above the water. That's the great ancestor, the one who first heard the song of the stone in these deep places. The water flows right from his beard into the pool below. It's a bit of Dwarven humor, I suppose, but there's a piece to it that I've never found anywhere else. The pool has this soft, bioluminescent glow. See those teal and turquoise ripples? It's caused by the tiny glowing mosses and mushrooms that thrive in the dampness around the basin, clinging to every little crack in the stone. Let's set our things down on this secondary workbench, the one with the red runner drapes over it. It's a bit more rustic than the main table, cluttered with old trumpets and more of those brass gears we'll need to rinse. I've got a small brazier here too, filled with glowing coals to keep the air from getting too chilly near the water. The orange heat of the coals contrasts so nicely with the cool blue of the spring. Go ahead, dip your hands into the basin. Don't be shy. The water is surprisingly cool, but it has a soft feel to it, as if it's been filtered through a mile of silk. Watch how the blue light of the pool dances across your skin, illuminating every line and curve. As you rinse away the blue pigment dust, it swirls into the water like a tiny galaxy before disappearing into the depths. It's a very satisfying thing seeing the grit just melt away. It's important to have a place like this, a place where the work stops and the cleaning begins. In the world you come from, things just seem to pile up, don't they? One task bleeds into the next, and there's never a clear moment to wash your hands and say, that part is finished. But here, we mark the transition. The grinding is done. The polishing is paused. Now, we just listen to the trickle drip of the waterfall hitting the surface of the pool. I love the way the ferns and greenery have taken hold here. It's a little pocket of life in the middle of the cold stone. It reminds me that even in the hardest places, something soft can grow if it has enough light and a bit of steady water. Even here, miles below the meadows, nature finds a way to hum along. Take a deep breath. The air here is different, damp, cool, and smelling of wet stone and fresh moss. It's a lung-clearing kind of air. We'll just stay here for a few minutes, letting the sound of the water wash over us. There's no need to speak, really. The water says everything that needs to be said. We'll rinse the brass instruments next. Those trumpets resting on the table could use a good dip. And then we'll be ready for the final mixing. But for now, just feel the water. Just be here, in the glow. Now, let's bring it all together. We've moved back to a smaller, more intimate wooden desk, where the light is a bit more focused. This is the part I've been looking forward to all evening. We have our ground lapis, our shimmering gold dust, and that resin binder we've been warming. It's time to see if the mountain's minerals want to become a story. Look at the glass inkwell here on the table. It's a sturdy little thing, clear glass with a silver-etched cap. I've just poured our mixture inside, and if you lean in, right here next to the quill, you can see the magic happening. The ink isn't just one color. It's a swirling, pearlescent purple that seems to hold the very shadows of the cavern. As the gold dust settles and dances through the liquid, it looks like a nebula trapped in a bottle. Go ahead and pick up the magnifying glass. Hold it over the inkwell. See those tiny, sparkling flecks? Those are the bits of the mountain we ground down together. They're suspended in the resin now, waiting to catch the light on a page. It's a bit like us, isn't it? We take all these heavy, jagged experiences from our day, grind them down with a bit of patience, and turn them into something that has its own kind of beauty. I've set out a fresh sheet of parchment for us to test it. The runes I've started at the top, peace, hearth, and stone, are already drying to a deep royal violet. And look, I've poured you a fresh mug of that frothy mountain brew to celebrate the completion of the work. The foam is thick and creamy, and the ceramic is still warm to the touch. Take a sip. Let that warmth settle in your chest while we watch the ink swirl. It's funny how a few hours of quiet work can change the way a room feels. When you first arrived, the shadows in the corners of the hall felt heavy, maybe a bit daunting. But now, with the candles flickering against the green crystals embedded in the wall behind us, those same shadows feel like a soft blanket. They're just part of the architecture of our peace. I remember my grandfather telling me that a dwarf's ink is his most precious possession, more than gold or gems. Gold can be spent, he'd say, but ink can hold a memory forever. By helping me mix this tonight, you've put a bit of your own quiet into the bottle. Whenever I use this ink to log the mountain's depths or write a letter to the surface, I'll remember this calm. Feel the weight of the quill in your hand if you like. It's a heavy feather, likely from one of the great mountain ravens that roost near the peaks. It's balanced perfectly. You don't have to write anything important. No lists, no reminders, no worries. Maybe just a single line, or a doodle of a leaf. The ink is ready. It's smooth, flowing, and exactly the color of a dream. We're coming to the end of the doing part of our night. The brass is polished, the stone is ground, and the ink is bottled. There's a wonderful sense of enoughness in the air, isn't there? We've reached that point where the mountain is satisfied, and we can be too. Just sit with me for a moment longer, watching the light play off the glass and the parchment. The fire in the hearth across the room is still crackling softly, keeping the world at bay. You've done well tonight. You really have. Now, let's move back to the low table by the hearth and start the gentle process of tidying up. There's a specific kind of satisfaction in putting things back where they belong, isn't there? It's the final period at the end of a long sentence. I'll take the heavy orrery we worked so hard on, see it there, gleaming with its new golden luster, and settle it back onto the wooden surface. Notice how the candlelight from that single white taper catches the tiny celestial spheres within the rings. It looks like a captured star system, resting right here in our workshop, finally freed from the dust that held its light captive for so many years. Go ahead and pick up those glass vials of liquid rune ink. Be careful, the glass is delicate and the stoppers are only held in by a bit of pressure. We'll line them up on the table next to the mortar and pestle, standing them in a neat, orderly row. I'm going to take this soft linen cloth and give the tabletop one last wipe, catching any stray bits of lapis dust or polish. There's no rush to this, just one smooth motion after another, sweeping the grain of the wood until it feels clean and smooth under our palms once more. The fire in the great stone fireplace to our left is burning down to those deep, glowing orange logs. It's no longer a roaring forge, it's a companionable warmth, casting long, soft shadows across the patterned rug at our feet. I'll just tuck that scroll and compass back onto the floor map for now, smoothing the parchment so it doesn't curl at the edges. Everything has its place. The books on the shelves behind us, nestled next to the glowing crystals, seem to be settling in for the night too, their leather spines catching the dying embers. I'm going to reach up and dim the overhead lanterns one by one. Can you hear the soft click-clack of the brass levers? With each one, the room gets a little more intimate, a little more private, as the darkness gently reclaims the corners of the hall. We're leaving out the essentials: the open journal, the quill, and that last bit of yellow wax in the tin. It feels right to leave a little bit of the work visible, a reminder of what we achieved together. As the light lowers, the blue mountain light from the deep caverns starts to peek through the archways more clearly. It's a beautiful contrast, the warm orange of the embers meeting the cool, quiet blue of the stone, like two old friends finding a middle ground in the twilight. I'll just stack these extra logs by the hearth. That's the sound of a home being prepared for sleep, ensuring the warmth lingers long after we've closed our eyes. We've moved through the grit and the grinding, and now we're just left with the glow. You can feel the scale of the room shrinking, can't you? The vast hall is still there, of course, but our world has narrowed down to this rug, this fire, and this moment of stillness. Take one last look at the jars of pigments and the tools we used. They did their job well, and they look quite proud sitting there in the dimming light. And so did you. There is a deep, resonant peace that comes from finishing a task with your own two hands. Let that feeling settle into your bones as I bank the fire one last time, tucking the embers beneath a layer of ash to keep the core alive. We're almost ready to let the mountain take over the watch. Just a few more quiet moments, and then we can truly let go. Everything is in its place now. The work tables are orderly, the tools are resting, and the hall has exhaled its final breath of industry for the day. The candles have burned down to small, steady pools of wax, and the lanterns in the distant archways are nothing more than warm pinpricks of light against the ancient stone. It's a vast space, but it doesn't feel empty. It feels full, the quiet we've spent the evening cultivating. Look at the way the light catches the jars of oil and the stray scrolls on the table one last time. Everything is right where it needs to be. Can you feel the weight of the mountain above us? It's not a heavy weight, not tonight. It's a protective one. Miles and miles of solid granite and basalt, shielding us from the wind, the noise, and the frantic pace of the world far above. Down here, the only clock is the slow drip of water and the rhythmic pulse of the earth itself. You don't need to hold on to anything anymore. Not your worries, not your plans, and certainly not the need to keep listening. We've done enough for one night, haven't we? I'm going to settle into my own chair now, just out of the light. The embers in the hearth are glowing a deep, sleepy crimson, and the black iron pot hanging over them has finally stopped its humming. The purple and teal mineral dusts in the stone bowls look like tiny, dormant galaxies waiting for tomorrow. But tomorrow is a long way off. There is no rush to meet it. The wooden bellows by the fire can rest, and the heavy stone hammer on the floor has finished its song. There is a specific kind of stillness that only happens deep in the earth, where the air stays perfectly still, and the stone seems to absorb every stray thought. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the mountain breathing with us. A slow tectonic sigh that says everything is exactly as it should be. The shadows are growing longer now, stretching across the jars of pigment and the polished brass, softening the edges of the room, until only the most essential things remain visible in the gloaming. You've reached the safe harbour. The work is done. The brass is bright, the ink is bottled, and your mind can finally find its own level of rest. I'll stay here for a while, keeping the watch, but you have my permission, and the mountain's permission, to stop thinking. Let the shadows in the high stone arches stretch out and wrap around you like a heavy wool blanket. The world outside may be vast and clamouring, but here, between these 4 stone walls, there is only the warmth of the fading fire and the steady, silent companionship of the rock. Close your eyes if you like, or just watch the way the blue crystals in the rock walls catch the last of the firelight. They've been there for thousands of years, and they'll be there when you wake. There is nothing left for you to do. No more tasks, no more words. Just the long, slow silence of the stone. The air is cool, the seat is soft, and the world is far, far away. The light is dimming now. The shapes of the workshop are blurring into a peaceful, dark velvet. The hearth is low. The mountain is steady. And you are safe. Rest now. Rest well. The stone will keep the watch.